This is KC Sports Network, proudly presented by Emprise Bank.
What's going on, everybody, and welcome
What
back
up?
to another episode of No Other Pod. I'm Jimmy, along with my good buddy Daniel Kooser, fresh off a plane from Austin, Texas. What is going on, my friend?
Dude, things are fine. I mean, not with the team, but fine with me. Life is good, bud. Had a fun little trip to Austin. Hope to tell you guys all about it. And yeah, happy to be here doing this with you.
Yeah, it looked like a fun trip, except for the part where we, played pretty terrible in the field. But other than
rough.
that,
I mean, Austin's not very good either, right? So even watching both sides, it was like, all right, what's happening here?
Neither team played particularly well. Austin in the table is much better than we are, but of course, then we had the RSL game that happened even before the Austin game to talk about. Lionel Messi is now in Major League Soccer, and that was a whole debacle. Cristiano Ronaldo's now in his feelings about Major League Soccer and the Saudi League. So there's a lot to talk about this episode.
Well, I'm excited to get to it, man. Very excited.
Before we get to it, we did have a new review / updated review, I guess. I'm not sure if it's technically new or what you want to call it, but I'm going to let you go ahead and read this one because you might know the person.
It's weird. You think you know someone, but you really don't. You don't know them at all. No, apparently, Kooser says, what's going to happen? And says, I left a review after the very first episode because I'm a good, supportive wife. But just listening and reflecting on how far this pod has come since then. Love y'all. Hashtag no other pod. Hashtag teal boys.
Look at that.
That's nice for her. Clearly, I'm biased a little bit. But, she means that. We've come a long way, buddy. It's been many years from having no chair in my studio apartment, and I have to set the laptop on my beanbag, and you get double chin coos all night. And
Marissa's sitting in the closet with the dog.
Yeah, and I got you on the phone over here, but on the computer over here.
It used to be so. Yeah, I forgot we used to record talking on the phone like a phone call while recording our own audio. It was weird.
I don't know why we did that, but it worked. And when it works, you just go with it.
Yeah, it was fun. And, obviously now we have actual producers that work with us. Nick's been great. But we used to joke before we were with KCSN in the early days that Marissa was our producer because she'd be giving us feedback every week. She'd be like, this was good. This wasn't. This could be better.
I heard it from the closet.
Live reaction. Live studio audience.
Very funny.
Man, that's cool, though.
Dude, we got so we went down to Austin this weekend. A little anniversary trip for us, so kind of cool. But great area.
It's a cool city.
Up and coming city. Spent a little time at the Capitol. That's a good, informative, air conditioned place.
Yep, for sure.
And it was 105 literally every day, nonstop. So I'm like, wow, do you guys have a fucking cloud? No cloud, bro. You just got to get to one place to the next. So
meanwhile back here we were having storms that were the worst possible storm in years in the metro.
I almost didn't make it to the airport. Everyone's going 40 mile an hour on the turnpike on Friday, and I'm like, gripping my steering wheel, shaking out my hands because I'm cramping up.
I mean, you're lucky you got out, I guess, but it passed over in time.
Right. Just a 30-minute delay at the airport. Wasn't bad.
That's wild. No, Austin's a fun city. I'm glad you got to go. I've only been there once. It was for a USC Texas football game. I haven't been down since Austin FC scored, but it's a fun area. It's a good place to go. So
the stadium or the university is right there, like by downtown.
Yeah.
So that's kind of wild.
Yeah.
But their food, man. I mean, if you want to hit up a good Mexican food area, like I was all about it, man. Hit the breakfast tacos.
Oh, breakfast tacos.
I love breakfast tacos. A little tofu action in there. But it's clearly we're foodies and we like to try all the vegan stuff, but we also went down there for this game. And what were we feeling about this game? Like last week, what did we say?
Well, we didn't actually talk a ton about this game because we spent so much time talking about the RSL game because that was the home game, which that game was a disappointment. We'll talk about that too. But I mean, we kind of talked that Austin, and it got even worse after the RSL draw. We were kind of feeling that Austin might turn into a must-win depending on what happens in the RSL game, and that we kind of need to steal a game or two on the road. And since Austin was, at the time, only a handful of points ahead of us, it was kind of a big swing if we could go down there on the road and steal 3 points. And obviously that didn't happen.
Well, I know RSL, that's the first game, but I think while I'm fresh, I want to talk about this Austin game. It just feels more recent, right? Doesn't it? Feels on the tip of your brain a little more.
Yeah, it was. I wasn't going to spend a ton of time talking about the RSL game, particularly because you and I missed basically watching live the 2 Sporting goals because we were getting ready for the media game, which that was its own experience.
We should get some reactions to that, by the way.
We will. So Shallow, we had a good goal that Johnny Russell assisted on. Then Johnny Russell himself scored a good goal, and it was 2-0. And then right after the half starts, RSL pulls one back. And you're like, okay, not great. And then there's the questionable call. There's so much in this episode. I'm just kind of flying through them. There's a questionable call in, what was it, like the 70 some odd minute with Danny Rosero, where he kind of misplays. 72nd minute where Julio kind of just bodies him the hell off the ball and then goes one-on-one and puts it past Kendall for the equalizing goal. And there was a lot of controversy about that call, and he just kind of left again like, well, a home draw, it's not going to cut it. And it put that much more pressure on the Austin game. So I don't know. That was kind of the whirlwind. I mean, you and I never really talked about it, I guess. My only question for you about this game is, what did you think of the no foul on Julio when he kind of bodied Danny Rosero off the ball and ultimately scored the equalizer?
I don't know, man. I hate that Rosero got pushed, or that he fell down. I mean, because a lot of times when the big guy goes, it almost looked easy, but I know it wasn't. Like something happened, caught him off balance. It doesn't matter at the end of the day because Pro continues to be consistently inconsistent. That's just what it is. They all suck, dude. They all suck. Everyone. Why is that the most hated job ever? It's so hard.
I mean, there have been some pretty angry chants in Children's Mercy Park this year, mostly directed at the club or at Peter. That was the loudest angry chant I've heard this year that was directed at a specific referee.
Right.
It just turned into like a ref you suck stadium wide, and it happened again after the game ended.
We're proving why Children's Mercy Park is kind of a family environment, because normally it would be "fuck you, refs." Yeah. That's the chant, but they did "refs you suck," and it's like, what a family place we have here. I love it.
For the most part, yeah. I mean, unless people are fighting in the stands, which you've witnessed before, but
we've seen some choking. Yes.
Yeah, it's it was just, I was okay with the no call, and you can read my thoughts on Twitter. I've explained why. I thought it was live. I thought it was shoulder to shoulder. He got ball pretty clearly, even though that's not a get out of jail free card. If you slow it down, real slow, it looks a little bit more questionable, but it is what it is. It sucks that the talking point coming out of a game where Sporting went up 2-0 real fast, we're flying high, looked real good, and you're like, okay, this is what they need to do if they're going to make the playoffs. Turned into questions about the ref, not so much the questionable defending again, which comes back in the Austin game. I don't know. And then before the Austin game, I text you and we saw the lineup, and I was like, this isn't happening.
I felt good about it. I tried to be optimistic, right? I mean, it just felt kind of like, what's the big change? Polito's on the bench, and I trust Johnny's, and it is what it is, right? But
yeah.
And then I don't
know. I was just gonna say, I get the logic, what Peter was doing. I mean, it was hot on Wednesday night. There were storms Wednesday night. Yeah. We were lucky it wasn't delayed, and now this is the third game of the week, so he's thinking rotation. It's 100 degrees.
He managed minutes, dude. He knew what he was doing by bringing Allen and Johnny in at the half.
Sure. You hope, and I guess this is the strategy when you have a striker who's starting his first career MLS game in Austin, and a must-win game, I'd called it. And then you have Johnny, who's been good, but like isn't a particular goal-scoring threat. Who was in there, and then there was a little bit. Who was the third one that rotated? It was Radoya back in. I don't remember. There was a change in the midfield, I think. But you're really relying on a front line of Shallowy, Afrifa, and Janice, at least hoping to get you to the half level. And then you bring on Polito and Johnny Russell, the big guns, and see what happens. And silly mistakes again, man. This defense is just killing me.
It's not great. I mean, I give Danny Rosero a slight pass that game because of his excellent header of a goal. You
I
know?
mean, yeah. So let's just kind of look at sort of what happened here. The lineups for Sporting Kansas City against Austin. It was Shawi, Afrifa, Tommy, then Voltaire, Radoya, Johnny. Well, sorry, MLS Soccer has this all weird. Janice was in the front three, and then the midfield was Voltaire, Radoya, and Eric Tommy. And then Logan and Denbe, he rotated in at left back instead of Tim Leibold, which scared me a little bit because Leibold's been playing real well with Fontes, Rosero, Davis, and Kendall McIntosh. And Austin's been good. And I mean, you tell me, it looks on screen like that's a hell of an environment to go in and try to win because those fans, I mean, looked like it's similar to my experience when I went to St. Louis. It's a newer club, but they get up for it and there's energy.
Yeah, it's a pretty electric environment, bro.
Oh, you got a scarf.
You had to get the scarf. It's got to go on the wall.
I mean, hey, I do it too. I have a St. Louis City scarf because I get a scarf everywhere I go.
It's a nice one. They're nice. When Austin came in, you know, you hate them because they're in your conference. You hate them, but it's like,
and their fans were terrible.
Sure, and their color scheme's great. Their ownership seems like fans are first,
except unless they're fans of the Columbus Crew, then they'll screw them over to go get
correct. But I look at this how things are different now, dude. Even all the way to the in-stadium like Jumbotron board, which also they only have one. So the supporters group are kind of effed because they don't have a screen to watch.
Is it behind the supporters? I guess I've never noticed that.
So they'd have to turn around. That being said, throughout the whole game, fans were shown on and off the screen for like their game enjoyment and reactions and hype. And I'm like, dude, what good direction by like the in-stadium broadcast fan experience to feature the people who matter.
Yeah.
Who are the only reason you're there.
Yeah.
Other things, freaking supporters don't have bleachers. They all have the same chairs everyone has.
Yeah.
Cauldron, they're like, here, Cauldron, enjoy your bleacher butt. You know, we know it's going to get wet. Like you get an armrest, you don't get to sit down and shit. It's a great time, dude. They got freaking chairs.
Yeah. I mean, the stadium looks gorgeous. You were saying that the food options there were great. They let you.
They have a whole vegan cart.
Vegan cart. That's great.
Insane.
Local
stuff. They had a lot of local stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Children's Mercy Park is like, we have American barbecue over here. Oh, is that a restaurant? Well, that's just what it is.
It's from Aramark or whatever their food vendor is. And,
exactly.
And they let you bring in reusable water bottles. I think it's set up to 30 ounces.
Reusable, dude. Not sealed plastic bottles, you know, reusable.
Yeah.
Why are we still doing this plastic bottle bullshit?
Yeah.
And why can't we just bring reusable bottles anyways? Why are we got to wait till it's hot?
I mean, it's a good question. I know that, you know, previously it was they didn't want you bringing things in because they don't want you throwing stuff on the field. But I think that's not really a problem that exists, is bringing in empty reusable bottles that you can fill with water. Nobody's going to bring in, you know, I mean, somebody maybe, but almost nobody's going to bring in, you know, a $50, you know, Yeti sealed water bottle to throw on the field. They're going to be like, it's 100 degrees outside. I want to drink some water.
And then at the end of the game, you know, they always do like a 20-minute hold for the visiting supporters.
Yeah.
I don't like that. I don't,
Did
you know, a lot of people. Oh, they did. Yeah. A lot of people just left. They're like, we're good. And it's like, bro, it's not Europe. Like this isn't, we're fine. We can go be cordial with Austin fans. We rode the bus with Austin fans. Like big deal.
I get it if like on a match by match scenario, if like when we were in Chicago, do you remember? And like it got real chippy between some fans and there was like yelling back and forth and the sections right next to it and whatnot. Like if after that game, they would have been like, just hold on a second. I could get it. But even when I went to St. Louis, which is supposed to be this like big rivalry, like, you know, I'm not going to lie. Everybody in St. Louis was super nice. They were all like, thank you for coming. We're glad you're here. You know, I used to be a Sporting fan. Now I'm a St. Louis fan, but like, we're just glad that we have this rivalry now. And like, they were all I went to the freaking St. Louis tailgate wearing my Sporting shirt that says Soccer Capital of America. I'm asking for a fight. And they're all just like, have a beer. You want to go down and get tacos? So
oh my goodness.
they were very accommodating.
Fair enough,
So
man. I mean, it was a good experience overall. One thing I noticed after the game might be a little frustration here, but only 3 players came over to the corner to thank the traveling supporters.
mm.
Um, at first, it looked like no one was going to, and then I think I remember Johnny and someone else came over. So
Well, at least Johnny did as the captain. That's good. I mean, let's go through kind of what happened in this game. It wasn't a good game for either team, really. If you look at expected goals, Austin had 1.1 to 0.5 for Sporting Kansas City. You know, stats wise, 6 shots on target for Austin. That's some, but not a ton. 3 for Sporting Kansas City. It just, I don't know. It just didn't seem, possession was about 50-50. Outside of like a couple of minutes for each team, there just wasn't much happening. These were 2 kind of like mediocre teams on the field that day.
yeah,
So
pretty much.
just it is what it is. We're going to go goal by goal as we normally do through this game. I know we kind of blew through the RSL game, but at this point we've all kind of moved on a little bit. It sucks. Another draw at home. That's making it that much harder to make the playoffs. We're going to go goal by goal in the Austin game here in just a minute. But first, we're going to take a quick break and we'll be right back.
Thanks for listening to KC Sports Network. Make sure you download our new app. Find it on the App Store or Google Play. Just search KC Sports Network. Entertain, educate, inform. KC Sports Network.
Hey, bud.
What's up?
I forgot I was bringing us back with something fun, and I telling you, dude, I'm out of it. I don't know why. I'm Austin was I did a couple of fun escape rooms down there.
You were telling me about one
Yeah.
that was particularly kind of interesting.
Yeah, there's some cool stuff down there, man. And one we told them we were there for our anniversary, and when we escaped one of the rooms, we the entire what am I trying to say? The entire company, the entire store made an anniversary card for us and like signed it
wow.
and shit. Like made it and drew on it, and I was like, this is the sweetest goddamn thing in the world.
That's awesome.
And we stuck around, and they would normally give you a 20% discount if you do another game like that day.
Yeah.
They gave us 40%.
That's
I was
awesome.
like, done deal. We're in.
Yeah. You guys are big escape room people. I know wherever you go, you guys tend to do an escape room. That's kind of cool. That's a cool little
Dude,
tradition.
It can make or break your marriage. And it makes ours because we work well together. But I could definitely see how people would fight.
Yeah.
And just be like, no, that's fucking stupid.
I mean, you got to learn to work together, and it can be tough, but
Oh yeah.
that's pretty cool. I've only done 2 escape rooms, I think, in my time, but they were both fun. I broke out of
Yeah.
both, so need to do
There
some
you
more.
go.
But I had groups of like 3 or 4 people every time. I've never done it just with 2 people.
Yeah, 2 is a little harder, but also you got no one getting in your way, mucking it up. Especially if you're kind of like seasoned vets like us, who's done like
You
a
know what to
couple
look
dozen.
for.
Yeah,
Yeah, so
good times, man.
It's fun. It's a cool little tradition.
Yeah, this company, by the way, sorry, I just want to say they're called the Escape Game, and I think they got them all
Escape
over
game.
the U.S. and they're getting one in Kansas City soon.
That's cool. I've only done Breakout KC once, and
Yeah.
I did one in New York. The one in New York it should have been so cool because I think I told you about this a long time ago. You give them like your phone number and everything, and like in the weeks leading up to it, they start like immersing you in the story where they send you a secret message. It's like a video that you're supposed to watch where it's like building the story and you're getting all the way and then by the time you get there, you're like fully immersed where you're supposed to have done these things ahead of time. And then you got there and it was just like, oh, none of that stuff actually really mattered. It was just kind of a normal escape room. And I was like, it felt like such a missed opportunity where like I know they have to make it so that people who don't do the homework or whatever can still have a good time. But it felt like I didn't get anything extra for actually doing it.
Oh, man.
Just that would have been cool. But oh well. So did you go to 6th Street at all? Like hit up the food trucks or music or anything?
I mean, we were near there, but we didn't really do any of that. I mean, we got there late on Friday, and then yesterday we went to we just called it a night. It was just a quick trip, so not a lot of time for much.
Yeah. No, I get it. Austin was cool. Like I said, it was a quick trip when I was there too, but I'd like to go back. That stadium. I know before the game, I was a little nervous. about that lineup, like I said, and you were like, I really don't want to see any of those green lights because it turns the entire freaking place like forest green when they score.
Yeah, they do it before the game too, like during roster announcements, I think. But for goals, yeah, it's like a greenish black, and I'm like, it's pretty cool. And it's not, I don't think it's strobe lights, so that's good.
Yeah,
I think I had wondered that they did strobes, so I'm like, oosh, but I don't think they did.
St. Louis does something similar with red, which was kind of cool. But did you find that the chants that they were doing, were they just kind of like the same old recycled chants you hear in a lot of stadiums, or were you paying enough attention to know if they had like their own unique chants?
No, bro. At one point, their whole drum section and brass, they started playing like an actual song. Yeah,
like,
it was some Latin song, dude. I don't want to sing it right now. I don't.
Yeah, no, it's okay.
I'd
That's
fuck
kind
it
of cool
up.
though. They have brass there. I know we occasionally have a trombone at Children's Mercy
Yeah.
Park,
but they were like in it. I was like, whoa, they learned this song and now it's a band and everyone's chanting the lyrics. It was pretty neat.
it's pretty cool.
Here's something for you. I don't know who did this, but I'm putting them on blast. When you request away game tickets from Sporting, you are told if you are caught selling these, which I don't know how they would ever catch you because that's like a scare tactic, right? But if you're caught selling them, who's going to take this chance? It's dumb. That you lose the right to get them in the future. Like you will lose that right. And behind us, I heard someone talking about how like their brother is a season ticket holder and got the tickets for them. And did they sell them? It's gray area, right?
Yeah, and if they just gave them to a family member, that's fine.
Another thing. There was a guy and his 3 girls, all Austin FC people, sitting right in the middle of the supporters group.
That's weird.
And I'm like, okay, so someone sold these tickets.
I'm surprised they didn't actually, because there's usually if there's enough people who go. How many Sporting fans were there? Do you know that went?
Oh, I don't know. 30 to 50 maybe.
Okay,
I don't know.
Well, if there's more than 30, I would guess they probably send a team representative to at least be there with the supporters. So I'm kind of surprised that they didn't be like, hey, we're not going to take your tickets away from you, but like, let's move you out of the middle of the visitor team supporting section.
Well, they were annoying. Everyone has a big old hard on for the goalkeeper, Stuver.
Yeah, every time he makes a freaking save, Stu.
Yes. They flash Stu on the screen, and it's not making a freaking save. He's like catching a routine rolling ball, and everyone goes, Stu. And I'm like, shut up. He just caught the ball. There was no save. Kendall McIntosh is on the other end, standing on his head, blocking point blank headers, and Stuver catches a roller, and everyone's like, Stu. I'm so pissed off.
I think the thing though that like I'm noticing, and this is, we are going to get to the game, but like we got a couple emails, and Brent Lopez, I appreciate you for sending the email. He sent a really long one that I'm not going to be able to read. I'll read the first 2 lines, I guess, from his email. He goes, must win games for SKC to make the playoffs. Austin FC, July 15th. Well, sorry, Brent. That didn't happen. So I guess that's that. He lays out his whole reasoning and everything, and it's a very well crafted email, and talking about why he feels the way he does about Vermees and McIntosh versus Pulskamp and everything. But what I'm noticing, and whether Sporting wants to admit it or not, it feels like the club is starting to get lapped by expansion teams, both with the excitement that they can build around the team, which I know Sporting's at a disadvantage because they've been around for 27 years, and these teams are new, so they have a leg up. In terms of facilities, Children's Mercy Park is no longer the standard across the league in terms of soccer-specific stadiums. And now the beacon that they always had was, but the product on the field is good. The product on the field is entertaining. And that's not the case this year. So it feels like the Austins, the Charlottes, the Atlantas, the St. Louises are lapping Sporting Kansas City, and the club, we kind of started the year this way, but it feels like they're kind of at a crossroads now of like, how are we going to course correct? Or is this just going to be the identity of the club going forward? And I'm not trying to be dramatic, but this kind of feels that way.
Man, I still think, obviously it's weird to think that they can still make the playoffs. Like it's, everyone gets in, it seems, and it's weird to think that, but it's still possible.
Mm-hmm. It is. I mean, even after the Austin loss, if you look at the Western Conference standings, Sporting is 3 points out of a playoff spot. But the big old giant asterisk with that is Sporting is the only team in the Western Conference that's played 25 games. Houston, who's 3 points ahead of them, have played 2 fewer games, 23. Dallas, 23 games. And then Vancouver, who is now 5 points ahead of Sporting, have played 3 fewer games. So this
only got 9 games left?
We have played 26 games, so there's 8 games left. So this is becoming very difficult for Sporting Kansas City to actually pull off. And if you look at the way the goals were scored in the Austin game, they're just silly defensive errors that really shouldn't happen. Jossie Zardes, he scored in the 17th minute, and he's just running down into the box, and it's just poor defending by Fontas, who just lets Zardes go, and he gets a free header. McIntosh can't grab it, and then again, since Fontas is all turned around, Zardes just hits it home. Really, really poor defending by Andreu Fontas, and Logan Ndembe doesn't step up to help him. I feel like this is the refrain of the year. Silly positional mental mistakes from the back line.
It's kind of it, man. I just, if there's anything just as consistent as the refs, it's our back line.
Mm-hmm. It sucks. And at least you're thinking, okay, well, 1-0, don't do it again, and it's fine. Well, not 2 minutes later, Ethan Finley gets a wide open shot. And again, I don't really know what the defense is doing. Andreu Fontas tried some weird like overhead kick. And I'm not really sure why he did it that way instead of just trying to clear it with his head. But Finley gets wide open. Logan Ndembe's nowhere to be found. Again, silly mental mistakes, positional errors of the back line. Peter Vermees was furious at the back line after this game.
Oh, 100%.
And, 2-0 in the 19th minute. I wasn't going to turn off the game because I have a real hard time turning off games. And we do a podcast. I want to make sure I watch the whole game.
Were people turning off the game?
Man, at that point, I was so frustrated that, like, if I were a casual fan, I might have just turned it off.
Huh.
We're just like, what are we doing? 2 goals that stupid, that fast?
There was a moment when I thought, like, okay, it kind of sucks being here right now, but I'll just enjoy the atmosphere, let these little girls behind me piss me off. And then, they tried to photobomb us one time, dude. We tried to take a selfie. And I was annoying. Like, I will fuck you up. I was so mad.
The one time that, not the one time, but the last 2 times I've gone to an away game for USC football, I spent a bunch of money to go watch USC play Alabama in Dallas, Texas, back in 2016.
How was that?
Yeah, USC lost 52-6. And then
That's insane.
I remember sitting up there. I had spent like $200 on these tickets, and I remember sitting up there on the friggin' like second to last row of Jerry World. I'm how high up that goddamn video screen is? I was literally level with it. I was eye level with that freaking huge video screen, just watching little ants run around on the field and this giant TV in front of me. And then I thought it, wise 2 years later to be like, oh, it went so well last time. I'm going to go down to Austin and watch USC play Texas. They went up 14-0 to start that game. I was like, oh, this is great. And then they lost 37-14. So I have bad luck when I go on the road to watch my teams play.
Yeah, that sounds bad.
So I get it.
But that's not true. We went to LA last year, right?
That was fun.
And they
Sporting.
Well, they drew, right?
They drew, but it was a good draw.
Yeah.
We were happy.
So, that was nice.
That game was also hot as hell.
That felt like a win. Dude.
That was the game where Pulse Camp just brick-walled Chicharito when he tried the Panenka.
That game was not as hot as Austin this time, bro. 105 is crazy. With heat index at like 115 or whatever.
Yeah. It was wild.
But it was straight sun. I was like, I am baking, and there's no clouds at all. I'm like, you guys got a weird place, and apparently that's a phrase.
Keep Austin weird.
That's the thing.
Yeah. It's Austin and Portland that kind of have that like weird motto vibe.
I don't know why I thought you didn't know that when you texted me.
No, it's all good.
You were trying to make a joke, and I was like, actually, it's that's a thing.
If you didn't know, it's their tourism motto. Keep Austin weird.
Look, here's a picture I took in front of it.
Austin goes up 2-0. People are super frustrated. And then 32nd minute, Danny Rosero off of a corner kick pulls one back. He was wide the hell open. I don't know what Austin was doing, talking about poor defending, but I've never seen a man so like wide open with a full head of steam going forward. I mean, there was no way he wasn't going to score that one.
I haven't watched the highlights yet. Did Stuver get a hand on that?
I think so, because he hit it right at Stuver, but it was with so much power that there was no way he was going to stop it.
I love that. I love it.
So, but
Danny Rosero is an interesting player, man. He'll have some things happen to him, and then it's like, actually, this dude's kind of quality.
I mean, he's got flashes of quality, and then he's got flashes of like what he did against RSL, where whether you think it's a foul or not, it was a boneheaded play. He had Kendall to pass back to all day, and he just held it too long. And he's been flirting with disaster all season long. I mean, these like questionable decisions to hold onto the ball just a little too long. I don't know. After the game, Peter Vermees, just some of his quotes. I'm disappointed. The 2 goals we gave up in the first half put us in a hole. Obviously, we had a plan to try to keep ourselves in the game in the first half. It would have been nice to even have been even or ahead at halftime and then have a chance to bring on quite a few guys. I think we had the right idea. We just put ourselves in a hole. And then about the 2 goals, he goes, they are easily avoidable. You can defend them very easy. My frustration is just our lack of recognition, because it's something that from a preparation perspective we talked about. It's a big part of their game. Serving their ball, cutting back, and serving the ball, which they did. And for us to not be attentive to that after our preparation, that's where the disappointment is. So he's pretty frustrated. And then, he kind of even went after McIntosh a little bit, but he also said, I'm not going to sit here and talk about a goalie change. So I don't know that we're actually going to get that.
Interesting. What about Steven Afrifa getting his start, huh?
I mean, he got a start, but like he didn't do much.
And he almost did much.
I mean, right of the first 2 minutes of the game.
That was crazy.
He blocked Stuver, who held it. I mean, if he would have redirected that ball in instead of blocking it just out for a goal kick, I mean, this is a totally different ball game we're talking about.
Oh yeah, dude, no kidding.
It's so I mean, that was about all he did, and you can't blame him, because it's not much that you can ask for a rookie going down in an environment like that. But I don't know. It's just really frustrating. Felipe Gutierrez made his first reappearance after re-signing with the club, but that didn't.
Peter Vermees got a yellow card. What was that about?
When did he get a yellow card?
For dissent in the 96+ minute.
Oh, after the game.
Oh yeah, I think he was mad about that there wasn't much stoppage time. Like the first half had like
right at the end of the 5 minutes or whatever.
First half had like 10, and second half was 5, and it clearly probably should have had 10 also.
Yeah.
When you throw in those water breaks and stuff, dude, and then
water
everything
breaks,
else,
subs, everything, yeah.
But it's so Peter was pissed. So
yeah,
big whoop.
It's tough. So yeah, now I mean we talked about where the standings are. There's 8 games left. If you look at who Sporting has remaining, they have San Jose, who is above them in the standings, so that's good. St. Louis, who's way above them in the standings, obviously. Then on the road to Miami with Lionel Messi, maybe, who might be with Argentina. That game should be winnable, but you don't really know what Miami's going to look like. Then you have back home again, then you play Minnesota, who's just above you. Then you go back home for 2 games, Nashville and Houston, both above you. On the road again to St. Louis, and then Salt Lake and Minnesota. They can make up points on teams above them, but a lot of these teams are very good. Nashville's very good. St. Louis twice, they're very good. You don't know how Miami will be with Messi and Busquets now. Minnesota's decent. I mean, this is an uphill battle for Sporting KC right now, and it's probably it's going to make it very difficult to make it into the playoffs.
Dude, I mean, story of our life. That's how it's been all year. So why not stay complacent here?
Yeah. So now we don't have an MLS game to talk about for almost a month. We do have Leagues Cup to talk about, so we'll talk about that in a few minutes. But before we talk about Leagues Cup, let's go ahead and take our second break, and we'll be right back.
Thanks for listening to KC Sports Network. Make sure you download our new app. Find it on the App Store or Google Play. Just search KC Sports Network. Entertain, Educate. Inform. KC Sports Network.
Hey, buddy, do you I need to watch more SKC too.
Yeah.
I think that when I see like the recaps and stuff, because you're gonna see some young SKC kids.
Mhm.
I mean, that's where Pulse Camp was. Caden
It's
Pierre,
like 8 Sporting KC players
Yeah.
started for them last game.
Castellanos, Rendov, Cisneros, Duke.
Mhm.
I mean, hell of a time, man. It's right down the road in Lawrence, so I wonder if people are going.
Yeah. No, that'd be cool. It's a little bit more of a drive for me to get from Lee Summit to Lawrence, but yeah, I mean, hey, I hope they're reaching out to the college kids and trying to do something with them or the local schools around, get some crowds out there. It'd be kind of cool.
Well, what's also cool is that they well, don't know what I was gonna say.
That's travel brain for you.
Wow, bro. Lost that real fast.
Well, before we lose it too much, because it was so long ago, we didn't really talk about the media game, and it was your first Sporting KC media game to play in. We were on different teams. You were on the victorious team. I was on the losing team, unfortunately. We at least got to hang out before the game, and even though we weren't on the field together, we got to talk a little bit after the game. But what was your overall feeling of the Sporting KC media game?
Well, my overall feeling is that there's a lot of people that take it a little too seriously. Is that fair to say?
There are definitely some players that want to relive their glory days in the media game.
Feels pretty weird. Pretty weird. Don't expect to get the ball because there's some people there that are gonna just take it and go because this is their time to shine for some reason, and just made me giggle. Also hot as balls, bro. What a time. I
It
mean,
was so hot.
media games, you got to do those in April or October, right? Just right
Yeah.
there in those seasons. But it was fun. I still felt hurt for 2 days afterwards after those 8.5 minutes, but that's
Just
okay.
from running around and everything. Yeah.
Yeah, I just don't do that.
And you were
then-
kind of playing I would call it like a midfield winger type role. If you can
Yeah.
have positions and 18 players and one team are on the field at the same time. You were running up and down the field though, calling for the ball. You were in good positions.
I was in good positions, but that's where, people aren't looking to pass. This ain't a
No.
passing game.
No.
But also, I don't want to play defense because I never like to be the last person,
Yeah.
and I don't want to play forward because I don't want to be relied on for all the goals. So
Right.
if I'm in midfield, I do a little bit of both. If you score, it's awesome.
Yeah. I was hanging back playing defense. I kind of was up more in the midfield to start, but then we let up 2 goals real fast, and I was like, okay. The only person that was playing defense back there was Thad, and I was like, I can't leave Thad to be a 1-man back line, so we became a 2-man back line. And
I can't believe you had no one else that would get back there. That's insane.
and I felt bad. Aaron Ladd was our goalkeeper, and look, shout out to Aaron, but he apparently didn't know the rules of how goalkeeping worked because very first play he picked the ball up outside the box, and that led to the free kick. That was the first goal, and I don't know, it was rough from the beginning.
Tell me you don't cover soccer without telling me you don't cover soccer.
Which is funny because Aaron actually goes relatively often to the game.
Yeah.
Like he's there pretty often. I was like, buddy, what do you do? It was rough, but I will be able to say, even though we lost 3-1, I blocked a Super Bowl champion.
You blocked a Super Bowl champion shot. Yeah, you did.
I did. I couldn't clear it because I'd have no left foot. But Garrick Dieter, and let me tell you what was going through my mind. I was kind of by myself, probably midway between the half line and the goal line, and I see him get the ball, and he just starts flying. And the first thing that goes through my mind is, holy shit, he's fast. I'm not going to be able to catch him. And I just start booking it as much as I can, kind of backpedaling. And for whatever reason, he cut in. And that is the only reason I had any sort of chance. And I was able to kind of stick a foot out to block his shot or cross or whatever it was. So
too funny, man. And
But I'll
then
take it.
you know what? To hell with Daniel Sperry saying that that was Anthony Sherman out there.
Yeah, it was not Anthony Sherman who was out there with Dieter.
Absolutely not.
He was wearing a Sherman jersey.
That shirt?
But I don't know. Whoever it was like 5'6" and didn't have nearly enough muscles.
Nearly enough. There's no way, dude. Like this dude just became normal all of a sudden. That's not how bodies work.
No, he was much shorter and much smaller than Anthony Sherman, but he was good. He played well.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
So we're glad that we were able to play in the game.
What's it like, dude? Press box feels awful. I walked up there and I was like, dude, this feels stupid. Like, why is it so quiet up here? You know what I
We're
mean?
not allowed to cheer.
That's insane to me. And I know
Well,
you always offer, you're like, hey, you feel free to come up here with me. And I'm like, you're out of your mind because it's not fun. There's nothing fun about that.
I mean, we're just, it's supposed to be like a professional environment, so you don't cheer. It was a
Do
little
you see
bit,
who's there? Supposed to be. Come on.
it was a little bit worse than normal in terms of like feeling separated from the rest of the stadium because it was so hot. They did have the windows closed. Normally the windows are open, so you have the feel of the atmosphere and the crowd and the noise and the ambiance and everything. But since they were closed, it was like, yeah, I mean, it's pretty standard press box.
You can feel it, but you don't get to contribute.
No, you don't. But
That's wild.
it's a sacrifice us media types have to make.
Us media types. Oh man, I don't know what kind of money you're making out here, but I need to get in on it.
Not that. Anyway, it was fun. Maybe next year they'll actually let us be on the same team.
Yeah,
No.
let's not hold our breath. I don't know who's making these teams.
But let's get back to talking about sporting. If you look at what's next, it's Leagues Cup. And Peter says that, looking forward to Leagues Cup, that they're highly motivated. They want to go do the best that they can, and they want to try to win the thing. So the first game is on the road in Cincinnati, who just happen to be the Supporter Shield leaders by quite a bit and are on pace to set a new points record in MLS.
This isn't great, dude. We drew like a shitty group, man. We have the worst group.
It is tough because it's FC Cincinnati, who have been fantastic and just got a brand new designated player striker. So awesome, wonderful, that's happening. And then Chivas, and Chivas is Alan Polito's old team, and they're a very good Mexican team. It is very possible that we are going to lose both of these games, and we're not going to move on because that would mean that we wouldn't win the group. And then I don't know what Sporting does, because let's just play that scenario out. Then you have 26 days between games, and that's too long if you want to stay fit. So I don't know what they're going to do. Going to see a lot of first teamers loaned to SKC2, I guess.
Well, that's why they want to, take this Leagues Cup seriously, and maybe they surprise us and they do get out of the group or something. I don't know.
I mean, it could be that the hope for Cincinnati as well. Maybe they're turning their attention to setting the points record and winning the Supporter Shield, and they're not trying to go for the Leagues Cup because MLS Cup is their target. So maybe they roll out a second team, essentially. And Chivas, who knows? You never really know what you're going to get with a Liga MX team when they come play in the States. So it's kind of a crapshoot. But
yeah, man, that's another stadium I want to get to, though, is FC Cincinnati's. I hear it's a good time.
Yeah, the TQL Stadium up in Cincy. They got a good group of fans too. I mean, again, all these new soccer-specific stadiums that are getting built around the country are just kind of Sporting's got to step up. So I don't know. We did get another email from Alex Brown. I want to read his email real quick coming out of the Austin game. I'll read parts of it. After dropping 7 points out of a possible 9 in crucial stretch of games, Sporting Kansas City find themselves in a troubling position heading into the Leagues Cup. And then he talks about how the West is so bad that they're only 3 points out. They could have a very good finish and squeak in. But he goes, but what kind of team would we be bringing if we did make it into the playoffs? Certainly this club is not top tier in terms of talent or competitiveness, and I don't believe the chances of Kansas City lifting a trophy this year are very high. It would be a shock to me if they made a deep run in the Leagues Cup or playoffs. I've tried to be positive this season, but it feels very much like we're back in the same form that this team was at the end of April. Alan Polito's been great. Outside of that, our aging roster is underperforming. And we do have one of the 3 oldest rosters this year by aggregate age, and have been on a continuous, over the last 10 years, upward trend in terms of average aggregate age of lineups. And the only other team that's done that in the way that we have is the New England Revolution. So it's a poor trend. But he finishes asking this question: do you still believe this club is a marquee example of success in the league? What needs to happen to get this club somewhat back to where it was, say, in 2018?
What do you want me to say, dude? I mean, it seems like many things need to happen, right?
Yeah.
I feel like, we're more than likely going to lose Allen after this year. So now you're searching for a striker again, or strikers, because who knows where your backups land, if you even keep a free or anything like that.
And you don't know what a god is going to be like after breaking his leg.
Exactly. And your defense is going to have to be retooled or something. They're all another year older.
They're all another year older, and they're also Rosero and Fontas are under contract through either 24 or 25, depending on which one you're talking about. So they're
Yeah.
not, I mean, you'd have to buy them out.
They need to probably get better. So
Peter Vermees goes, they need to get better. They need to get better now.
yeah, that's what it sounds like. It's like, okay, well, how do you do that? Like, I don't know what your plan is, but it doesn't sound easy.
It is. I mean, he says SKC seems to play the victim in circumstances like injuries, roster limitations, schedule congestion, but every other club deals with the exact same issues. So, I mean, we've talked about it a little bit before. I think if you look at their history, yes, they're a marquee example of success in the league. If you look at the last 5 or 6 years, no, they're a mediocre team on the field and off the field over that time. There was no trophies since 2017. They've made it to the Western Conference Finals, I think, twice in that time, but they lost both times. And it's, I mean, we just saw the Messi announcement in Miami, and Miami, I know it's Miami versus Kansas City. That there are certain advantages to being a place like Miami because you can be the worst team in the league and then sign 2 of the best players in the world just because you're located in Miami. But Sporting have to figure out how to navigate that in modern MLS, and I don't think they've done a great job so far. And I don't know if it's Peter Vermees solely or Brian Bliss or ownership. It's a combination of all of it probably, but they got to figure out something because perception is reality. And right now, the perception amongst a non-negligible portion of the fan base is this club isn't worth it. I saw a tweet from somebody who I know cares a lot about the club, and he goes, I hope Messi is worth my season tickets next year because this club certainly isn't. That's what he said after the Austin game. So they got to figure out something because they're going to lose longtime fans.
Yeah. I mean, I just can't get over how more than half of them didn't even come greet the traveling fans.
Yeah,
it's
bad
bizarre to me.
I mean, that's a standard thing that teams do. No matter how poor you play, you go thank the fans who spent their time and money and effort to come follow you, and that sucks that they didn't.
I had a Kyrie Shelton sighting on the way home.
Yeah,
he was on our flight home today. Probably maybe stuck around for speculate as you want, people, but he grew up like 30 minutes from Austin, so there's that.
Sure. I'm sure that was probably why he was sticking around, was to go visit, especially with like the Leagues Cup coming up, no MLS. He probably got permission.
Yeah, friends and fam probably got off, come back Tuesday. We'll start prepping for Saturday, especially after that 3-game stretch they just had. So,
yeah.
But dude, he was like maybe the last one to come on the plane. And I started thinking, like, I always board and I save Marissa's seat. And I was like, what was keeping me from saving him a seat? So he wouldn't have to search for a single one at the very end. I could be like, Kyrie, I saved you a seat, man. I don't know if you remember me, but thanks for coming on No Other Pod a year ago or whenever that was. That was fun.
Well, you didn't know he was going to be on the plane. Otherwise, he could have. But
yeah, I wasn't for sure. I kind of saw him like in the terminal, and I was like, well, it'd be weird to go talk to him, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
He's a private guy too, man. He is. Like, you want to hear something crazy? I thought maybe he would know me. And so he's coming down. I can't. He's coming down the plane aisle, and I just go, I give him like a what's up nod and open my mouth, and we make eye contact, dead ass eye contact. And I'm like, he sees me, and he just looks away. And I am like, I'm taken aback. I was like, I thought we were connecting.
We had a whole interview conversation.
You didn't feel the energy? Like, what the hell?
Kyrie. That's a bummer.
Should have saved him a seat.
But at this point, even if they win Leagues Cup, that doesn't salvage the disappointment of this season, right? There's not enough equity in the Leagues Cup at this point. It's a new thing. Nobody cares that, like, people are still going to be mad. There are some real questions, assuming they're not going to make the playoffs. Like we said, there's still hope. There's still mathematical possibilities. We'll be covering it all through then. But if they don't, I mean, there's a decent number of people who are out of contract or have options after this year. Polito, I believe, got Ikinda, Johnny Russell, Graham Zusi, Roger Espinoza. I mean, there's a number of people who are out of contract, and there's some real questions to be asked of roster construction and what Peter Vermees will do, because he'll probably be around for another year. It's it's a bummer that it feels like we're kind of back where we were at the end of last season again. But
yeah, sure feels like that.
we'll see. So hopefully that'll give us something to root for as we, the last 10 games of last year, they really kicked it into gear. So maybe the last 8 of this year, they can figure something out, and this break will be good for them.
We shall see.
We'll see. So before we end this episode, I did want to ask real quick, did you get a chance to watch any of the Lionel Messi unveiling?
No, I didn't want to. The Gold Cup was on, and
Mexico,
then
Panama.
Yeah, and that was
Yeah.
fun. But
It's-
no, I don't get this messy stuff. I'm not fanboying or anything like that. But I don't want to. I also don't want to put a damper on anyone's excitement.
Yeah.
Because that's cool. I'm excited that people are excited.
Yeah.
And that's cool. I don't have to get it.
I mean, I get that. I'm excited to potentially be able to see him play in person if he comes to Children's Mercy Park next year. I think that'd be really cool.
Yeah.
I turned on the introduction mostly just out of curiosity because I was curious how they're going to do it. Bro, this was their introduction potentially to a whole host of new MLS fans or people who at least want to watch Lionel Messi. This broadcast could not have been more of a disaster.
Really?
It was awful. The audio did not work. You could not hear what was happening. The mics weren't like feeding into the broadcast for most of it. They finally kind of pseudo fixed it, but you were just hearing the ambient like speaker sound from the stadium. They still weren't feeding it in. They played a welcome video for Lionel Messi on the screen in the stadium. They didn't feed that into the broadcast. So we were just watching Messi and people like hold each other, watch a screen while not being able to see or hear what they were watching. They tried to translate what Messi said in Spanish to English, but he was just talking over Messi. The translator was just talking over Messi, and the levels were off, so you couldn't hear anything. Overall, it was just a really poor presentation and a really bad first impression that MLS made for any new fans, potentially, which is a bummer because the place was sold out. People spent like $200 to be able to go see a press conference and watch Messi for 3 minutes.
That's wild. That's wild. They spent crazy money for that.
Yeah. The funniest thing that I did hear is as part of the welcome video, the one time they did show it on, they like cut up to looking at the video board. Greg Berhalter was part of it for some reason, like welcoming Messi to America. And you heard audible boos in the stadium when Greg Berhalter's face came up on the screen.
Oh my Lord.
So,
and I did see a lot of jokes. People like Messi's probably like, who the hell is that?
Right. He's not my coach. He's not my nation's coach. I'm not going to ever interact with him. Like I know.
Yeah. Why is
he
welcoming me right now? But whatever.
I mean, people even broke into the stadium, broke through security and broke in while it was in weather delay because there was a storm too. Like they're not ready for what's about to come.
Wow.
So
sounds fun.
It's pretty wild, but at least we know he shops at regular grocery stores like the rest of us do and buys Lucky Charms in ungodly amounts.
Gets paid to shop there, man.
Probably.
That's insane. The man gets paid to shop there.
Yeah.
I don't understand. Dude, the rich get richer, man. I don't get it.
That's how it works. So, well, you have anything else? We didn't even get to talk really about the Gold Cup or MLS All-Star Game. I don't even know if you care about MLS All-Star Game, but
very much to say there, man.
Yeah, I mean, go All-Stars, I guess.
I suppose.
There's no sporting representatives on the team, so it is what it is.
Nope, zero.
Well, thank you all so much for sticking with us, even though it was a rough week. Here's hoping that this break does us all good and the Sporting KC comes back stronger than ever. But in the meantime, make sure you follow us on Twitter and Instagram at NoOtherPod, at Dan Kooser, at JCMac03. Make sure you check us out on YouTube, KCSN Soccer. Check out that KCSN app. And we'll be back to talk about Leagues Cup next week. But until then, he's Dan. I'm Jimmy. We'll catch y'all later. See ya.
Austin was a great environment.